Good morning, Seattle. It is early. Wanted to talk today about how to retire, or not retire actually. Who wants to retire? That's stupid. Who wants to figure out, oh man, maybe I can't do this morning. Maybe I'll do this a little bit later when it's not so early. It's super early in the morning. And I'm heading off to work because I have the mindset of wanting to get ahead and wanting to network with people and to be the 1%. So if you want to be a member of the 1%, or you want to know how to retire on minimum wage, the first thing you need to do is get the right mindset. Mindset is absolutely everything. My first job that I had, I worked below minimum wage, and it didn't bother me. And some people would be like, oh my gosh, how could you be working below minimum wage? And the truth is, my boss and I entered into a private contract and privately determined what my labor and skills were worth. And because at the time, they weren't what the current minimum wage was, I worked for below minimum wage. And you know what? I learned a ton at that job. And I learned about work ethic, I learned some skills, and I kept my eyes open, and I observed, and I looked around. And I feel like I got more out of the job than the wage. People are so focused on wages. So my mindset advice number one would be, don't work for minimum wage. Work for less than minimum wage. Work for more than minimum wage, but don't work for minimum wage. If you're working for minimum wage, that's the government telling you and your boss what you're worth. And if you're going to accept that you're worth minimum wage, well, guess what? You're worth minimum wage. So again, either work for less than minimum wage, hopefully I'm not giving illegal advice, or work for more than minimum wage, but don't work for minimum wage. Now, there's some people that may not have a skill set or the mental capacity or the physical ability to do more, but those people aren't going to have a financial future. They're always going to work for minimum wage. Choose not to be that person if it's within your ability. And 99.9% of the population has the ability to work for less than or more than minimum wage. So mindset, mentality too, all this stuff that you hear about, especially in Seattle, all this stuff you hear about, you know, how you can't rent a place in Seattle and there's economic evictions and all this stuff. These are choices. These are absolutely choices. And until people take responsibility and don't become a statistic and don't let the government tell them that, oh, you poor thing, you need help from the government because you can't take care of yourself, or any of these other enabling and spirit destroying things that municipalities do and politicians do so that they can get power. You got to get the mindset out of listening to the mainstream. The mainstream media, especially here in Seattle, will kill your spirit and create a situation where you're not trying to learn. So you need to get a mentor, the right mental capacity or the right mental attitude, and don't work for minimum wage. Work under minimum wage or over minimum wage. Negotiate your skills, practice your value set, and maybe you want to do an internship. Maybe you want to figure out, hey, who can I learn from? Who's doing what I want to do? You know, so much emphasis is placed on school. And school can be a great thing. I mean, and it's absolutely necessary if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or something along those lines. But, I mean, let's face it, if you're going to school without an intent of why you're going to school, that's a weak mindset. Your mindset then is, well, I'll just kind of figure it out as I go along. And meanwhile, you're going to school and racking up all kinds of debt these days because of the prices. So I wouldn't say don't go to school, but have a reason to go to school. And if you just want to go there to grow yourself and expand your mind, fine. But that's not usually a good idea with your financial goals. So I think we should go back to the old style of doing things, which was apprentice work. You know, you find somebody that's doing what you want to do, what you have an interest in, and you offer to work for them for maybe a discount or for whatever. The pay doesn't matter. And you work for them and you pick up the skill set. And maybe you work into their organization and you grow with their organization and meet your goals. Or maybe after time, they give you the skill set that you need to go out and do it on your own. So, yeah, the media just inundates us with the wrong mindset. One of the things that really bothers me too, which it shouldn't, but you know, things do, is, you know, this whole thing about the 1%. We're the 99%. What a loser scream out that is to me. We're the 99%. Who wants to be the 99%? And then in order to be the 99%, you need to define yourself by saying who the 1% is. And I'm proud to be in the 1%. And I think most of you are proud to be in the 1% too. But socially and politically, there's so much pressure and how evil the 1% is. But if you look at the Congressional Financial Committee's actual stats that they put out, which, you know, a lot of government and politicians are saying how evil the 1% are. Well, the 1%, well, let's start with the bottom 20% of income earners don't contribute anything net, meaning even if they pay a little bit of taxes, which most of the 20% do not, that they get more benefits back from the system than they contribute. If you look at the next 20% on top of that, so you're up to 40% now, same thing. They contribute a little bit more, but the net effect of what they contribute less than zero. So you go up all the way up the chain, and the bottom 99%, according to the congressional data at the Financial Committee, in the terms of taxation, they contribute nothing. Now, that's not to say we don't need everybody and everybody's not important, but as far as finances go, the reality is that the top 1% contribute 34% in taxation than they receive in value. So if you look at the media, we are the 99%, rawr, for us, we're victims. That whole victim mentality, man, where do you go from there? How do you build and create an empire and a fortress for your family? How do you do that? We're the 99%. And it's all lies. According to the government's own publications, it's lies. And we have Obama. If the rich just paid their fair share. Well, what is it? Do your own congressional data say that the rich, the top 1% income earners pay 34%, and everybody below that, well, excuse me, like the 10% pay like 3%. So the top 10% pay a little bit, the top 1% pay everything. If we got rid of the 1%, if we went with Elizabeth Warren's idea of taxing the wealth of the 1%, of the rich, we would absolutely destroy that golden goose that produces the golden egg. And it's so ridiculous. All anyone has to do is look at the actual reports from the government to know this. And I'm sure Warren and Sanders, all these guys know that the 1% are supporting this flipping country. And the government, even with all that support, is overspending by 5% a year, putting us further into debt. So, mentality number one, work for less than minimum wage, work for more than minimum wage. Don't accept minimum wage as your labor. And then the idea is, what do you want to do? Do you want to get a new Xbox, a new PlayStation? Do you want to take a lot of trips now? Or do you want to adjust your thinking and get out of what all the Instagrammers and everybody are saying of, oh, look at my fancy new jewels and look at my Rolly on my arm and all this stuff. Sorry, I'm driving. Multitasking. So you got to make a commitment. And, most financial planners and the common idea out there is, and people don't even follow this, but this is for you. This is for you that want to get ahead and become a millionaire around the minimum wage level. Flip your thinking. Common financial advice is, go to school, get a good job, work hard, put 10% of your earnings into retirement. That common knowledge sets a lot of people up to retire by the time they're 65, or these days, maybe 70. Then you got to look at the lifestyle of what a lot of people are retiring at. It's not as good as when they were working. Well, that's just stupid. Yeah, I want to plan to make less when I'm older. That's just bizarre. But that's the common mentality. You need to get a different mindset. So instead of doing 10% of what you make, save 90% of what you make. And by save, I mean don't save money. Savers are losers. Take 10% of what you make, live on that, and take the other 90% and invest it in yourself, in your self-education, in investments that produce cash flow, and in your future. And if you do that, you're going to eventually start building up an empire that will allow you to have something that the 99% don't have. Freedom of choice, freedom of health. Sometimes money does lead to health. And basically it leads you to the good life. So, yeah. Gosh, get in the right mindset. And saying that too, I know there's going to be some people that critique what I say and think, oh, they can't help it because, we got employers are evil at 1%, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you look at the stats, the 1% are providing immense value, both in what they provide to the world so that they can earn a good living, and they're also paying through the nose for it when you look at the congressional data. So, get educated, get a mentor, follow somebody that is doing what you want to do, and most importantly, follow somebody that has the right mental attitude. If you're on state assistance right now, odds are really, really good that the 5 closest people around you are also on state assistance. So, is that okay? Sure, it's a safety net. But it's not okay if it's something that's institutional, meaning you're doing this for your whole life. Your parents are doing it, you're doing it, you're going to pass this on to your kids too. If you want to get ahead and be financially free. So, anyways, I should probably focus on where I'm going because I'm going to have to start making some turns here pretty soon. But first part of becoming a millionaire, or more importantly, millionaire is just a stupid benchmark. Financially free is to change your mental attitude, change your thinking, and get a mentor. So, Aaron Renfrew signing off for today. We will be putting out some more videos, trying to add value, help you guys get the right mindset, because mindset is absolutely everything. All right, make it a great December.